Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2020 action-adventure film Mortal, a film that is directed by Andre Overdahl, who directed Trollhunter, and it stars Nat Wolff, Ibn Akali, Piriaka Bose, Anya Nova, and I'm struggling with a lot of them names because they're Norwegian. And this is a Norwegian-based film with Norwegian spoken language with English subtitles and English language speaking as well, so it's a combination of both, and it focuses on Nat Wolff's character Eric, who went to Norwegian a number of years ago to search for relatives, and something happened at a farmhouse that essentially gave him godlike powers that he is seriously struggling to come to terms with and control. And he meets a young lady who is like a liaison for the local police as Eric is arrested for something that he did that he had no control over, but essentially he ends up getting arrested, and this young girl, Christine, who works as like a liaison for the police officers, makes this connection with him that continues throughout this film. And essentially this film focuses on Eric trying to come to terms and control his powers as the film progresses. And that, without spoiling things, that's essentially all I really want to say on the story here of Mortal. What are my thoughts on Mortal? Well, I like, and I hesitate to call this a superhero film, but I suppose at its very core it is. It's like an origin story. Many people, wouldn't say that maybe Unbreakable's a superhero film, but it really is. And this is as well, I suppose, if you really strip it down to its bare bones. It's just not a superhero film that you are used to seeing in any way, shape or form. But it is an origin story. But it comes with a lot of baggage, this film. It really, really does. It's an interesting film. It's really nicely directed with some beautiful cinematography going on. There's good performances here. It feels grounded and realistic, but it's painfully slow. It's a real slow burn, which I think some people will find a real problem. The main thing I struggled with this, I found it incredibly frustrating to watch. The scene after scene of this character Eric, played by Nat Wolff, trying to control these powers and failing miserably almost every single time. However, there's a scene in a police station where this young girl, Christine, who makes this connection with him. When he displays his powers and then loses control of them inevitably, which he seems to do throughout the film, she just talks to him for a couple of minutes and gets him to focus and control, and it all calms down, sort of thing. And you just think, right, you've been shown the way there now of how to control it to some degree, and then it's like that never existed, that scene. He completely forgets it, and it's scene after scene after scene of this guy trying to control his powers and failing miserably. And it's nice to watch, and some good effects and stuff, and it never seems to result in anything, his powers, quite a lot. There are some scenes later on in the film where he does learn to control it, and he uses it for some good, certainly in one scene. But the majority of the time it ends really badly when he uses his powers, and it's usually control. It's connected to him, his emotions and stuff. It's almost like I've seen a tagline somewhere for this film where it says X-Men meets Chronicle, and I think that's a fair comparison, if I'm honest. He really can't control these powers at all, and it's frustrating because you get all these displays of power that never leads to anything. There's a scene on a bridge where they are trying to contain him, if you like, the local authorities and the armed police, and there's a nice display of lightning and all this kind of stuff, but it doesn't lead to anything. it's like a nice light show. It's like, okay, well, what was the point of that? It's like if it's connected to his emotions, these powers, but he can't control his emotions. So you would think he would, but when he was helped to control his emotions by Christine, his character, he could control them to some degree. So why on earth he never really tapped into that as the film progressed? He just felt like scene after scene after scene of him frustratingly losing control of his powers, and then when they do have him, the authorities, they keep poking him and prodding him. Don't seem to learn from the mistakes. They capture him and put him in a helicopter, and that doesn't go well. That crashes. The second time they catch him, they put him in a CAT scan machine, and he wakes up, and that doesn't go well. He's just like, please learn from your mistakes, people. He doesn't like to be held down and contained, as most people wouldn't. And when you do that, and he gets cross, or he gets confused or scared, things are going to happen that you're not going to enjoy. But they just don't seem to learn from these mistakes throughout the film. There's a character in the film called Hathaway, who's like from the US Embassy, who essentially is intimidated and scared by what potentially these powers could mean for the world, and that just goes down a very predictable route, as you can imagine. And then there's a scene at the end when he discovers more about his origin and his powers that, well, I don't really know how to say it really. It would lead to spoilers, so watch it for yourself if you want to figure out what his powers are linked to. And if you know your Norwegian mythology, you probably already know anyway. So I think this is a very mixed film. There are some good things in it, and there are some bad things in it. Ultimately, I'm going to give it a slightly above average 6 out of 10. It is certainly watchable, very watchable. The performances are fine, the effects are very good, good direction, good cinematography, but for me it was too slow, and I found it very frustrating to watch at times as well. So yeah, that is my review for Mortal, a new superhero origin story, or a new way to tell that story, if you like. It doesn't feel like a superhero film, but it's clearly attempting to be that. So I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching, and I will be back with more reviews and content on Screen Stars very, very soon.